What's going on, guys? So today I'm going to tell you about some work that I had done to my Kaneie Budo 2 sword by the Katana Fanboy Reviewer. I use the sword a lot. I've cut branches with it, tatami, noodles, bottles. It finds its way into my hands quite often when I'm goofing around in the backyard. So with that, after owning it some time, it's been pretty beat up. The Suba is a little bit loose first, and then the blade started getting scratched up. The blade has a couple of chips in it. I think one that I've done and a couple that the previous owner had done, and it's no surprise with some of the things that I know I've cut with it. And I don't know, it's just kind of a good companion for my backyard cutting fun. Anyway, so I wanted to get it touched up. Now, Katana Fanboy Reviewer has kind of put out there that, hey guys, if you've got a production katana, in that price range that is that, $300 to $1,000 range, where you invest a little money in it, you like it, but you don't want to send it off to a polisher that may do an Honto or a Barrett blade or a Clark blade or something like that. He's a good option, and to keep the price low, and I totally agree with that. So I wanted to try out and see for myself what his work looked like. So let's talk about it. You're going to see some before and after pictures, by the way, here at the end of this. So what you're seeing now is the finished product, and then I've got before and after of very specific shots, and I tried to make them look exactly the same so that you could see the noticeable change. And boy, is there one. So I want to start by saying that overall, on the blade, we message back and forth. He's really good with communication and giving suggestions and asking exactly what you want. We elected to not really change the geometry much, but to just hone the edge and to make it sharp and to give the blade just a nice polish, because it's all scratched up. There's a couple of chips on it, some pretty deep, and my thoughts, along with his suggestions, we kind of reached the conclusion of, let's not grind this thing down where the chips are completely gone, because the blade's already thin. Let me just see if I can, polish them out. And he's got one of them completely gone. I don't see it. The other right up here on the Kasaki tip, it's still there, but it would require some pretty aggressive reprofiling right there to get that out. And that's just something that I wasn't that concerned with, and didn't want him to have to try to juggle figuring that out. So I was like, just polish it as is and sharpen it up. Anyway, he's starting with the Kasaki. He's definitely got it looking a lot better than it did, and he's got it too where, I don't know if you can see in the camera, but it transitions a lot nicer than it used to, and you'll be able to see that in the before and after photos. I made sure that those really highlight each area. But the blade overall is very polished now. I can see myself in it, and I think it might be my only blade that I can see myself in now. And I thought that was really impressive. So also the flats of the blade, or the sides of the blade, stayed nice and smooth. So he was able to polish it in a way that didn't get that like wavy effect. So hats off for being able to do that. He also got the bohie polished as well, and that's really not easy to do, at least the one time that I tried. So that was the basic service that I paid for. I think it's a really affordable price. He's right in that $100 to $150 range. You'd have to contact him, and I'll put a link down below to his channel for specific prices for you and what you have going on. But he offered to cut me a deal on this in exchange that I would, review how he did, and I declined to take a deal because I wanted to pay for the work that was done, and I don't want to feel compelled to, tell you something that's dishonest in exchange for like free work. So I paid for the work, and I'm going to be critical of the work because I did pay for it. So that was the work that he did to the blade, and I really couldn't be happier with it. It's razor sharp now. It had gotten kind of dull, especially in the Manauchi area. All those branches, all those bottles, all those tatami mats. that this thing soared through have definitely left the edge something to be desired, and he's gotten that fixed now, and it cuts better than it did when I got it in the first place. So anyway, hats off to that. I think he did a wonderful job. Now, in addition to that, he asked if he could do some customization to the fittings, the kosher eye, and just some kind of touching up and cleaning up of those areas. And to me, I didn't mind, because my main thing with this blade is how it feels, not really how it looked. I like the saya, and I'll show you that, but the rest of the kosher eye is just, it's very ho-hum, it's very production sword. There's nothing that special about it. It's all about how it feels, and the shapes and things like that, and just my attachment to it probably. Anyway, that being said, he had a suggestion to change the Suba out, and I did let him do that. Now, he did send me the original Suba back, and not only did he do that, he made sure both of them are fitting really well. So now I don't have a loose Suba anymore, and I've got another Suba that that he thought would help, you know, just make the katana flow nicer. And I agree. I mean, all that's subjective, but let's just talk about what he can do. He's got the hibaki just polished to a mirror. I mean, I can see myself in that too. He's got this Suba polished up. Of course, I don't know what it looked like before. This came from him. And he's got the Fuchi Kashura. He's got those kind of cleaned up. They were almost kind of turning black, and he's got them kind of cleaned up just enough where they almost have like a patina look to them, just like the Suba does. I thought that was cool. He did the same thing with the Manuki too. He lacquered the Samigawa black, and he also put some lacquer on the Ito to make it pretty much solid as a rock. And it was already fairly tight, but it's much tighter than it was when I sent it to him. So so to me, some of the things that he can do just made the sword that much better. And the way it looks, now that's subjective, but it just kind of gives you an idea of some of the things he can do. On the saya, which I am very partial to this saya, it may be my favorite thing about this sword. This is not the original saya it came with. The original owner said he made this, or maybe he had it made, I'm not really sure, but it is made for this blade, unlike a lot of production sayas are. And it's got the nice dished Koiguchi. The Katana Fanboy Reviewer, he, you know, re-lacquered that. It was pretty beat up from me, you know, cutting it with the tip of the blade. You know, me not being the best at swordsmanship. He also re-lacquered the Kojiri. It was a little bit beat up from me, you know, running into the walls and stuff as I walk out of my house with the sword. And he also re-lacquered these little like ribs in here, so that they're kind of shining now a little more than they were, and it just kind of makes the whole thing pop. And he also touched up that kurigata too. So yeah, originally with the black Suba that came on it, you'll see it in the picture, and changing those, or changing that so that all of the fittings do kind of flow a little bit more. Of course, the hibaki is a different color, but that's kind of, you know, par for the course on these production swords. He's got it looking aesthetically, I mean, pleasing. Here, I'll put it in the saya and let you take a look, and you can decide for yourself. Now, I had the Koiguchi fitting the hibaki so tight that it would probably only go into about there, and I kind of like that. He went ahead and helped me out though, and he got it fitting a little bit better, so it'll go all the way flush if I really jam it, but I kind of enjoy it tightening down to about right there. And then if you really want to lock it in, you know, make sure the kid or whatever can't get it out, then I can do that. So he did a perfect job on that. But anyway, back to what I was saying, just the overall aesthetics of the way it looks now and the way the fittings flow, it does look better, and I think he's got a good eye for that. So just to kind of summarize and wrap up, I paid him for work to the blade. We kind of talked about him, you know, having some freedom and doing some other things with a little bit of customization, you know, just to kind of show off what he can do. So I wanted to show you guys that. And again, I think he's just a great option. If you have a blade that you don't want to go drop a bunch of money into, you don't want to work on it yourself, The guy really does a good job. He had great communication with me, asked me, what I wanted, gave suggestions on what he thought as far as, how sharp do you want this? Should we reprofile it any? Just things like that. And so, while I gave him a lot of freedom, if that's something that you'd rather not do, he is very specific about, what do you want, and I'll make sure to get it how you want it. And his turnaround time was pretty quick too. He quoted me about 8 weeks and knocked it out, had it back here in my hands in 3. And I think it'd be fair to say that he made quite a bit less than minimum wage working on this thing, because he really did put, you can see a lot of elbow grease into it with the way that it's polished now. I think it's the most polished of all my blades now. And yeah, I'm happy to have it back, and happy to have it, better than it was when I originally bought it secondhand. And yeah, so I'm gonna go have some fun with this, and I'll probably throw in a video of me cutting, and definitely stick around and look at the before and after, because that's where you can really see what kind of work he can do. So anyway, I'll see you guys later. Damn. Pretty impressive little slivers there. It's kind of seems to be difficult to do for me.